to talk to the Nandi County people, especially those who are in leadership positions. The chiefs, the DOs, the provincial administration, the elders, the village elders, the religious leaders. We have also gathered together the athletes themselves, the elite and those who are in the lower level after the elite, just to bring home this message of anti-doping. You are aware that we had a stakeholders meeting in December, and the CS has alluded to the fact that we are working as a multi-agency. This multi-agency approach is not only ADAK, but also with Athletics Kenya, with the Athletics Integrity Unit of World Athletics. We are working together with Ministry of Health officials. We are working together with Immigration, Customs and Border Control, Pharmacy and Poisons Board, Office of the Registrar of Persons and Deaths, just so that we can ensure that we are tackling anti-doping from all corners. Because we have medication that athletes are taking that is enhancing their performance. We have substances that are coming in across borders, and that's how Customs and Borders Control is coming in. We have athletes who, even after they have been sanctioned, are still trying to get out of the country to go and compete in some events. And so this multi-agency approach will be able to help us to ensure that any Kenyan who is going outside the country to compete is competing clean. Any Kenyan athlete who has been sanctioned is not allowed to go out, is not allowed to mingle and even just to taint any other athlete around them. And this is what will help us. It's a new approach that we are taking because we know that as an agency, as an institution, we cannot win this fight by ourselves. We need to ensure that every player is on board, and that is why we are doing this. We started with Kericho County about 2 weeks ago, and now we are in Nandi County, just to ensure that we enlighten the community on issues clean sport. And from here we will go to other counties, Uasin Gishu and Elgeyo Marakwet. And we will not only do this for athletics, but we are hoping we can be able to do this even for the other sports disciplines. So we are enhancing our testing. We've done almost 2,000 samples we have collected now since January. And with the enhanced program, it has meant that we are able to get out to the field more to collect the samples. The response that we have got is that quite a number of athletes are running away. They don't want to be tested. And for us, that triggers something that there must be something they are hiding for them to be running away. So as the CS said, we need to check which camps these athletes are from so that we can go visit those camps or raid those camps and see what is happening therein. We need to know who are their coaches. Is it their coaches who are helping them to dope? Is it their coaches who are telling them not to dope, but the athletes themselves want to be able to win with whatever means that they can? So we have seen that the testing has increased, and we have gotten quite a number of positives from those tests. And I'm sure at the end of this month, as has now become the norm, our legal department will release a list of names of all those athletes who have been suspended. I would not be able to tell you which athlete is from which county, but so far, just with the enhanced testing program, since July, we have 53 cases that we have now brought before the Sports Disputes Tribunal for prosecution, and that is because of the enhanced testing. You will remember when we were doing the trials and the national championships for athletics earlier in the year, mid-year, just before the Budapest World Championships, we did over 400 tests on athletes in competition. And now that we are moving towards Paris 2024, this is a program that we want to enhance, and especially we want to enhance the out-of-competition test so that we can get a big base of athletes who have been tested the required number of times that World Athletics needs for any athlete who is supposed to participate in a major event outside. We have also enhanced our out-of-competition tests, and we have been going to camps. We have been doing even just athletes who are not in camps. We've enhanced the number of tests, and hence that is why we are getting a big number of positives right now. We know that with the enhanced testing, the positive results will go up because we are gone all out to do mass testing. But we are hopeful that with the enhanced education that we have also put in place, with our investigations and intelligence gathering team going out there, that in a year or two we'll start seeing the positives going down. One, because the athletes and their entourage have realized that we are serious about this, and as the CS said, zero tolerance to doping. Number two, that they will have now understood the education that they are being given and known why they should not dope, the serious repercussions that doping has to their physical and mental well-being. So that is what we are doing now. We have most of the athletes that we are testing, we have put them in something called a registered testing pool, especially those who have probability of representing Kenya in any international event. So those athletes, as required by the World Anti-Doping Code, is that they are supposed to give us their whereabouts. I'm sure you know that whereabouts is an athlete giving us where they are going to be at any given time within 3 months of their year. Every 3 months they have to keep on updating their whereabouts, so that if we want to test whichever athlete it is, then when we go to where they've said they are, we are able to get the athlete with no advance notice. But sometimes you will find that athletes are not where they have said they are going to be. And so this is how now the administration comes in handy. Because most of the times you'll find a chief always knows what's happening in his area. A provincial administration, people always know what is happening in their area. So we will be able to work closely in tandem and be able to say that this athlete had said they would be here this given time, they are not there. Would you happen to know if there's anything going on, maybe a funeral or there's an emergency or the athlete has flown out of the country, just so that we can keep tabs on our athlete. And that is why it is important for us to work closely with the administration. And also sometimes you'll find that athletes, if you've not found them where they say they were going to be, they will always give you a report. We have realized that most of the times the reports they give us are false information, and that is how we work closely with the provincial administration just to make sure that the story that the athlete has given us or the report they have given us is corroborated by a witness. And if it is not, then now we have to sanction the athlete. So let me start with the second question. We find elders are important. I mean, in any given village, in any given community, you'll always find that as the children, we always listen to our elders. Whatever it is that they tell us, we always say that they have been there before us, they know and they understand the ways of the world and what we need to do to be better citizens or community members or family members. And so by us incorporating the elders in this program, we are just trying to ensure that they are there when they see any athlete within their community taking the wrong path. They are able to bring them back to the right path and tell them, you have talent, you don't need to have any enhanced substances to enhance your performance, and so just stick to the straight and narrow and you will reap the benefits of that. We find that elders are very important in that. To your first question, I think you heard Waziri saying that the athletes who are running away, we are starting to get their information. Which camp are they from? Who are their coaches? Who are their agents? Who are their managers? What time do they train? So that we can then now be able to raid in on those camps, because maybe it is something that athletes of a particular camp are used to doing, and we can be able to work together with other institutions to ensure that we have either closed that camp or we have sanctioned them. So that is why we need to get information. Depend on the number of athletes that, especially in athletics, that Athletics Kenya give us. Right now we have about 300 athletes in the registered testing pool. AIU requires us to do at least 4 competition, 4 tests on each athlete, 3 out of competition, 1 in competition. So if you multiply 300 by 3 or by 4, it means it's 1,200 samples that we'll have collected before the team goes to Paris. And we are hoping by the time the team goes to Paris, the way it happened for the Budapest team, we will not have anybody being declared positive within the games like it has happened in the past events. Whenever we get a report from any athlete on whatever has made their sample return positive, we always do our own investigations at the hospitals or medical facilities or pharmacies that they've told us. And when we find any of them culpable, number one, there's forgery involved, because that means you have forged the document that you have given us. So those are cases that go to the common courts. They don't go to the Sports Disputes Tribunal. And we have quite a number of cases that are before the criminal courts, and the cases are ongoing. I can't mention which ones, but that is why we are saying that we need to work in collaboration with other agencies. So in this case, it is the ODPP that we are working closely with. We are working closely with DCI, with NIS, and as Waziri mentioned, we need to train them every so often, because the code keeps on changing and sanctions keep on changing. So we need to keep on training them so that they understand why it is necessary for those cases related to anti-doping, in as much as they're in a criminal court, then a time needs to be hastened so that the case doesn't take too long and the people who are to be held culpable are sanctioned or punished according to that.
The technical side of the effort against anti-doping. What I would like to make you understand is why the country is investing so much money in fighting doping. You will appreciate, as the CS has mentioned, as a country, we market Kenya. And the cheapest way that we have always marketed Kenya to the world is through our athletes. And therefore, when our athletes have successes out there, but the wins are doubted, and it's doubted because of our reputation as a doping country, then you can see that that is very injurious. It injures our reputation. And so the government has gone all out. We have now received resources as Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya to put every effort in 3 areas. 1, to educate the athletes and the people around them on the need to try and work around winning clean. And 2, we also have put our effort in testing, so that in case there are still those who don't get the message, we can weed them out before they go out there and tarnish the name of Kenya. And so I want to let the country know that just because you hear that we are having more positive tests, it's a sign that we are weeding out the bad elements. It's not very good that we are getting more positives, but the good side of it is we are not going to release any positive cases to compete internationally. And thirdly, we're also putting in resources to empower the other agencies of government. As the CEO has mentioned, we are empowering the DCI, the immigration, so that everybody in whichever environment you are dealing with, people moving out of the country or competing or supplying medicines or drugs, everybody will be enlightened that before you give an athlete any medicine which may end up becoming a doping substance, please be conscious about it. And so you will see a lot of effort by ADAK in education, so that everybody is aware and no athlete comes around and say, I did not know. Nobody should say that, I did not know. We want the community around the athlete also to support the athlete by telling them, don't do the wrong thing. So that if there's any temptation, if, for example, the athlete is seen with somebody who has a bad reputation, then those around the athlete can tell him, do not keep the company of such a person. And that's why sometimes you may wonder, why are we spending time with people like elders, the internal security people, the local administration? It's because we want everybody to be conscious and everybody to be aware that if this is an athlete and they're keeping the wrong company, then somebody will speak up. We are now saying, let's bring up our athletes as a village. Let everybody be concerned, because at the end of the day, it is our pride as a country which is being injured. Like today, it's hurting us that we have set a record in marathon, and yet this record is still being doubted. How we wish that the moment you win, we celebrate. But today what happens is somebody wins and we're not celebrating because we're waiting for the results to be verified. We're waiting for the blood tests and the urine tests to come out negative before we can celebrate. I don't think anybody would like to be eating food and waiting for 10 hours to feel satisfied. You want to eat that time and feel satisfied at that time. And that's what I can tell you, that as the board of anti-doping agency, we are working very closely with the management to ensure that we focus our efforts towards this fight. Hopefully, we think within a year or two, we should be able to hear no positives. That is our objective. The weakest link, I would say, is the desire to win right. In other words, it's a value system. The value in the human being to realize that it is not just about winning, but winning right. So we're trying to put in these values into our athletes and into the support personnel, that, hey, the correct value that we should have is to win right, win clean. Right now, the value seems to be win at all costs. And that's what we are saying, no, that's not it. Let's win right, and let's win it when we are clean. That, to me, is the weakest link, the value systems. And that explains why, even in our education programs, we're trying to teach our young athletes that let's inculcate a culture of winning right. Let's win without adding things into our bodies, because those things we are adding into our bodies have got two effects. We may win, but we will suffer the shame of being caught. And two, some of those substances are very harmful to our health. They actually, in the long term, weaken your body. And you may think that you're a good athlete short term, and then after a short while, your system is destroyed. So it is also a health issue. And I think that's one thing which we are pushing out there, that our younger athletes grow up knowing, let me win right. Let me lose honorably. That is the message we're putting out there. Definitely, it's a sign for us that something is not right. For example, why would you run away if you hear that ADAK is coming to your camp? It's a clear sign that there is a fear. And I don't think that if you are clean, that you run away. We don't carry weapons. We're not coming to shoot you. The only thing we come to do is maybe to take your blood sample or your urine sample. So why would you run away for somebody who's not coming to harm you? They're only coming to check whether you are clean. And therefore, any athlete who runs away, for us, number one, within the code, it's a sign that you could be engaged in an activity which you should not be. And there are sanctions for that. So I think every athlete should be aware that even that action of running away in itself is a violation of the anti-doping rules. So nobody should run away. You should stay, let ADAK test you. If you are clean, you've got nothing to fear. If you are caught, please cooperate and help us to find out who is perpetuating this problem.